round of bad polling for President Biden spells even more trouble for his 2024 bid. A new CNN poll finds that the president trails former President Donald Trump in Michigan and Georgia, two states he won in 2020. Biden's also struggling with his approval rating. A Wall Street Journal poll has him with just 37% approval. That is a record low for that poll. Senator Mitt Romney says he wishes the Democrats would run someone else. As for Senator Manchin, he did joke about a potential run over the weekend, saying, quote, "The president is 81 years old. Donald Trump is 77. The American people are ready to pass the torch to a new generation, somebody younger." I'd say maybe someone close to 76 that doesn't look a day over 70. Gianno Caldwell, Fox News political analyst, and Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor, joining us now. Gianno, wink, wink, nod, nod. All right, so is he sending a message?
Oh, 100%, but he's not the only one. He just happens to be a Republican, if we consider Mitt Romney still a Republican. I'll tell you, Democrats all over the country are sounding an alarm on Joe Biden and saying he needs to be replaced. A very popular cultural figure by the name of Charlamagne the God in the Breakfast Club has been talking all last week about how Democrats need to replace Joe Biden at the top. And our very own polling at Fox News just a few weeks ago showed record high disapproval for Joe Biden. African Americans, 41% disapprove. Hispanic voters, 60% disapprove. Voters under 45, 62% disapprove. Men, 63% disapprove. People see that there are major issues with Joe Biden being the candidate for the Democrats. And you can see why through the numbers, crime, the border, inflation, all those issues are still problematic for his candidacy and the Democratic Party. So, yeah, they should replace him if they want to potentially have a shot.
Well, let's ask a Democrat. Leslie, good to have you on the program. Do these bad polling numbers concern you?
You know, the numbers concern me, but when they are, when it is happening, which is right now 11 months from the election, does not. There has never been an accurate predictor with polls this far out from the election, whether it's favoring a Democrat on my side or favoring a Republican on the other side. So we have some time. Look, this election, there's a couple of things here. First of all, although it's far from the election, it's too late to replace the president. 1, 2, Republicans should be happy if they feel that Joe Biden is the candidate that you can beat and he shouldn't be replaced, because I think you should look at some of those numbers with my governor, Gavin Newsom, up against Donald Trump, with everybody like DeSantis saying he's running a shadow campaign. But let's look at the states that it really comes down to. It comes down to 4 states, 2 of which in these polls the former president has usurped the current president, and that's Georgia and Michigan. We also have Arizona and Wisconsin. That's where it's going to come down to. This is going to be a very tight race, as presidential elections have historically for the past few years, because that's how we are as a nation. We're very divided, comes down to 4 or 5 states, and comes down to swing voters in those states. So do I like these numbers? No, but I do like results, Sandra, and when you look at the results that we saw in Ohio, when you look at the results we saw in the midterm election, I can't get worried about the polls. I got to look at the other polls, which are exit polls, that show the results. And abortion's a big issue that's not covered in this.
Okay. Really interesting.
That's accurate.
Good to get your reaction to that. Gianno, I also want to ask you about this NBC News report on former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She's expected to expand her role in the president's reelection efforts next year. She hosted a $1 million fundraiser for Biden in her Georgetown home over the weekend. A Democratic insider telling the outlet, quote, "At the end of the day, Biden needs all the help that he can get. What he needs is both the spirit and the actual reality of unity, both of which he has struggled on." One could easily make the case, and that, too, has shown up in the polling.
Well, we know that this is very personal for Hillary Clinton because of her getting badly beaten in 2016 by Donald Trump, someone who wasn't supposed to win. But the truth of the matter is she has a number of negatives herself. Probably Joe Biden has now went beyond her. But certainly whatever help he can get, I'm sure is going to be appreciated. But I don't think that it moves the needle in terms of the voting population. And one last point. Joe Biden can be replaced, Leslie, at the DNC convention.
Leslie, real quick, final on that before I move on.
Well, I know we can be, but it would be unwise. I mean, if I'm running a marathon, I don't want to sprint. 1, 2, Hillary Clinton is not running. 3, she's a terrific fundraiser. And 4, endorsements, I would agree with Giano, don't move the needle either way. But money does, and she can raise money.
Really interesting. All right, meanwhile, for some, the holidays are not looking quite as festive this year. From Maine to California, speaking of which, traditional public holiday celebrations have been canceled to avoid taking sides on Israel. Governor Gavin Newsom did not hold California's annual Christmas tree lighting, fearing pro-Palestinian protests. And an art and music festival in Virginia denied a rabbi from holding a menorah lighting. Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Jewish Human Rights Organization, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, said this. The Wall Street Journal editorial board arguing to those who say that allowing a menorah lighting is to approve the killing of men, women, and children. We'd say that's a good argument for more light in the midst of such darkness. I want to get a real quick final thought from both of you on this. Giano, you first.
Yeah, we should not be hiding our values, especially at a time like this. If there's a ceremony that typically goes on, they really should do it, and there should be a bigger crowd to show solidarity with the Israeli people. Now, very quickly, 1 in 5 young people in the United States of America hold anti-Semitic views, and that's 30 and under. That's a problem. We see it on college campuses. Yeah. That's a problem. We got to be loud and vocal to speak out against that.
Leslie, real quick.
Young people also want a ceasefire, and I think safety is very important. We have a 200% increase in attacks and incidents against Muslim, and 300% increase with attacks and incidents against Jews. So I think it's important to be safe, even though it is the holiday season.
Leslie Marshall and Giano Caldwell, as always, thank you both for joining us. Appreciate the debate.
Thank you.